Cuarto día del Mobile World Congress, seguimos con la cobertura. En este caso vamos a seguir hablando del backhaul para las redes móviles y contamos con la presencia de Thierno de la empresa EXFO, con quien vamos a estar hablando en inglés de cómo ellos interpretan que se debe llevar a cabo la ejecución de un backhaul para lo que sería la red heterogénea, la red HetNet. Thierno, welcome to TeleSemana.com.
Thank you for having us.
It's always a pleasure. So, we are here at Mobile World Congress, Barcelona. LTE is coming, LTE Advanced is coming. People are trying to combine Wi-Fi with LTE and so on. But at the end of the day, if we don't have a solid backhaul, probably all those interfaces are not going to be providing what they need to be provided. So how do we ensure that this backhaul is properly done? And what is EXFO telling the operators in order that they can have this backhaul that is aligned with these newer interfaces?
Well, definitely the backhaul is becoming a critical piece of the whole solution. And for the simple reason that all of these technologies have more and more tighter references or tighter requirements. You take LTE and LTE Advanced, there's requirements on one-way delay that have to be very specific for the whole thing to work. So from our perspective, you need to have a very solid strategy. And the strategy isn't only just one product, but it's an entire solution, and it's a multi-phase solution. So first, from an activation phase, where you ensure that everything is done correctly, that before you put the circuit in service and you start putting customer traffic on it, that it has been well deployed. And also from an assurance perspective, where you ensure that as traffic grows and subscriber grows and additional services are added, that the backhaul still maintains its characteristics.
Okay. Now, on top of the HetNet, which is more small cells and more access points, we're going to have a flow of new devices coming to the network. IoT is another hot topic here at the show. Obviously, everyone is projecting traffic growing exponentially. How do operators can address the fact that it's been told in the industry that you cannot scale your backhaul as you scale your access network because it's not cost effective? So what strategies, what technologies, or what solutions they will be implementing to avoid that parity in the scaling?
Yeah, that's a very significant challenge that the operators have. And you can couple that also with the access. 80% of all the network usage, the mobile network usage, is inside cities. So we have a very large mobile network, but there's a concentration of people. So it's not only an increase of devices and an increase of data, but it's also a concentration of devices and data inside very specific locations. And HetNet is a solution, but as you see, the backhaul is a critical piece of it. We've seen technologies such as a microwave backhaul that has evolved that allows point to multi-point being able to backhaul.
It's going to be enough?
It may not be enough. There's a lot of architecture that are also proposed. We've been looking heavily at things such as Cloud RAN, which is basically looking at how to centralize the baseband processing units in order to basically have better coordination and just have radio data that is sent to the antennas. So if you think about it from that perspective, your backhaul becomes a little bit more efficient, that you simply install the access points wherever you want. You have a radio link or a very simple physical layer link to a host of devices. And then your requirement on quality of service really becomes between the network and all the way to the host, to that hotel or a pool of baseband. Exactly.
Now, you raised a point that I think is very important in the industry, is the fact that they want to do this cloud run or centralized run, where they put the VBUs in one area. But also we hear other line of thought saying, okay, we need to also move some stuff closer to the user. So in some areas we're going to put something centralized, some things are going to be pushed to the edge. How does that strategy of having things centralized and then some other part of the intelligence on the edge affect the backhaul?
Well, definitely it's going to have an impact on the backhaul because those strategies are really there to address capacity and coverage concern. So if you take a concept of Cloud RAN where everything is going to be centralized, the intelligence is going to be centralized, you have more flexibility from a backhaul perspective where you can put larger pipes. Usually it's a location that are easily accessible by things such as fiber and whatnot. When you're talking about getting closer to the user, such as HetNet, small cells, and so on, then you have a problem with location. It's going to be very cost ineffective and commercially unfeasible to put fiber all the way to these points. In that case, really microwave backhaul becomes the solution of choice because it's completely wireless. So definitely the trusted technology is going to have a significant impact on the strategy for backhaul and that quality of that backhaul.
Okay. Now, another topic that we hear here in in the show, it's been NFV and SDN.
Yeah.
And I've seen some studies here and there suggesting that SDN might have a very interesting impact on saving costs for the backhaul. Probably is the option to the challenge that we mentioned it before.
Yeah.
I don't know from the EXFO perspective, how is NFV and SDN playing in the backhaul environment?
There's definitely synergies, or we see there's a lot of benefits for NFV and SDN within the backhaul. Specifically, when you look at SDN, it's the ability to adjust dynamically the backhaul. So you can have a network that is very flat all the way to a certain point, and as bandwidth usage comes up, you simply increase the network or the capacity on the network and so on. So it becomes a very cost-effective model, especially for people that do things such as leasing lines or leasing connections all the way to their eNode B. It will be very cheaper. You basically buy bandwidth or you buy capacity on demand. Where we see the complexity of it's going to be on the implementation, of course. Not only do you need to be able to react quickly to the increase in capacity, so you can't rely on old technology where you would basically, let's say, monitor and have results every 5 minutes or every 15 minutes. If within a window there's burst of traffic and it's impacting, then you simply miss that window and congestion is going to impact your customer. So there's going to be a lot of impact from a deployment and an implementation perspective. Specifically on NFV, we see a lot of benefit for the operator, especially from a capex reduction. So basically using, off-the-shelf servers and so on. But again, there are some significant implementation challenges, namely maintaining the performance and the capacity of the virtual appliances themselves, but also managing this entire infrastructure. If you look at NFV, you could have, CPU processing in one location, hard drive that is spread across multiple locations, and so on. So you have to be able to manage this virtualized infrastructure, or else you could impact your own network and ultimately impact the customer experience.
From EXFO perspective, are you modifying your portfolio of products because of NFV in a way that you also have to adapt to the NFV environment that the operator is going to have, so your own products have to actually adapt to and become more NFV, so to speak?
Yeah, from that perspective, we've done a lot of innovations over the last few years. Even before the big buzzword NFV, we were already working with a lot of operators that were looking at the software model. So we've done a lot of conversion of our probe software into packages that can be handled by devices that do NFV, hypervisors and whatnot. And these are things that we're slowly rolling out. We're actually testing it in a few labs with some key customers. From an NFV perspective as well, what we envision is a convergence of multiple metrics that are going to be required in order to assure that you have the proper NFV deployment. It's not just looking at the service, but it's also looking at the components of the service themselves, especially in the context of NFV, where everything can be distributed at large. So from that perspective, we've actually introduced just now a new platform that we call EXFO Extract. And it's an open platform analytic tool that basically leverages data sources from multiple endpoints. It could be from probe-based devices, it could be from network equipment, it could be from network management system, SDN controller and whatnot. The idea is to be able to stitch the whole components of the service into a single common view in order to help an operator deploy NFV, but at the same time assure and ensure high quality service delivery within that virtualized environment.
Right, excellent. Well, Thierno, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you very much.
And have a good show. It's almost done, so
thank you very much.
You must be happy.
My legs are very happy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.